You're listening to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
The secret to well-being is discovering the power that is your birthright, the power to create a happier, healthier life, drawn from our own vast internal resources. Join Jules and her guests as they gently guide you to shift your perspective from the familiar negative to the divinely connected, a place that will not only positively impact your world, but possibly shift the planet. It's all right here on Law of Attraction Talk Radio.
Well, welcome to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I'm Jules from beautiful Southern California, and I'm so glad you could be with us. I just want to set the record straight. You know, we are having a hard time in California, but it's such a big state that I'll answer this question right away. No, we're not being affected here in La Quinta with the fires. That's way up north in the wine country, which is so sad, so devastating. And hopefully PG&E, the electric company, will start putting their wires underneath the ground so that we never have to worry about these fires anymore. And it will be a thing of the past. We're just going to continue to think that we're going to move forward with all the people who are experiencing the fires now. Just relax and take a deep breath if you can, and know that it came into our lives for a reason, and especially realize, and this is for everyone who has experienced just terrible things that happened to them all of a sudden. We created that so that we can become a stronger person. And if you go through your life without any instances of trauma, well, then you're certainly not going to learn. And every piece that you learn helps to make you into a magnificent human being that you are today. So accept the trauma and just move forward. Because as soon as we can accept it, it comes back around to realize, wow, I am pretty powerful. It's an experience that you came here to fully experience in all of your humanness. So yes, some terrible things will happen. They hurt, they're sad, but you walk away from this life so much better. And yes, you do continue to walk or fly or whatever you want to do. Life is a mystery. We don't really know the future. But if we tune in with our intuition, our pineal gland, and we learn how to just relax and download the messages, you will see that you are a pretty phenomenal human being. And it's okay. It's all okay. It really is. So I have a terrific show for you tonight. I have Dr. Mahmoud Rashidi, MD. He is on the show today to talk about the power of you based on your habits, based on what you have learned from your past. And not only this life, but previous lives too. It's really deep. It's really phenomenal. And more significantly, we're going to learn up how doggone powerful we are. And that's the one thing I want to teach everybody, no matter what. You are powerful. You have the ability to create anything you desire. That's true. You can do this. And if you don't think you're powerful, well, let me believe that you're powerful until you get to the place where you can believe you're powerful. You know, we came here to experience this, and you are. And every day, in every way, you're becoming better and better. I can guarantee that. So with that, sit back, get a cool beverage, relax, and get ready because we're going to have a great show with Dr. Mahmoud Rashidi, MD.
It's here, it's hot, and it's a must read. It's the science behind The Law of Attraction magazine. Every issue brings you great articles and in-depth how-tos from all your favorite Law of Attraction experts, authors, scientists, and medical professionals. Go to lawofattractionmagazine.net. That's lawofattractionmagazine.net.
Did you know that every human uses only a small portion of their powerful mind? Jules Johnson, international certified hypnotherapist, wants to introduce you to your powerful mind in order to create your dream life. In as little as one session, Jules guides you into releasing limiting beliefs that keep you from achieving wealth, health, better relationships, and even true love. Schedule a session in Palm Springs or set up a Skype video session for those nationally and internationally. Jules would love to serve as your guide into living your dreams. Go to creativeguidedimagery.com or call 951-201-2166. That's creativeguidedimagery.com.
You're listening to the Law of Attraction Radio Network, heard by millions worldwide through 38 internet radio stations and in over 135 countries. Be sure to sign up for your monthly updates and get all the latest information on LOA radio events such as cruises, workshops, and seminars, as well as information on the latest shows, topics, and guests. Go to loaradionetwork.com and sign up today.
Well, welcome, Dr. Rashidi, to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I am thrilled to have you on my show.
Thank you. Looking forward.
This is going to be so good because you understand how the brain works, and you are going to tell us why we're so powerful, and yet why we don't know we're so powerful, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's go then.
So for me to understand it, that the brain, how powerful it is, it took some time, even quite few years. I was doing some of the things and I was getting the result. Later on, I look back and I said, how got it? I grew up in Iran. So I went to I was the top student in primary school and in middle school and high school. I went to the medical school in Iran, and then I went to Canada, to University of Toronto.
Wow.
And then, so I was doing it one after another, and I was a top student doing it, and then I basically didn't go through what did it happen. Then I later on, if you have a question, I can answer from what health problem I had myself. And I had a surgery, and I start noticing in the people that how their thinking is affect their health or their relationship or their finances tear apart and they do. And then what's the problem in this? And the reason I came to neurosurgery, really, I was interested in mind and how the things works for a long time, and how it was important people feel happy. And around me, I was noticing people, they are sad, they don't feel good. And I was saying, my God, how could I help them? And then there wasn't a one way to do that. So then I started learning about of the brain and was studying, and now law attraction. So how then I thought with the law attraction, then I go through, then I start working on a law attraction, a lot of new thoughts. Then I, at one point, I noticed that well, I am thinking about something, and I do want it, and I pay attention to it for sometimes, but it really did not come through. So I said, okay, what is happening here is which part is missing? So then I was thinking about the mind like a lot of people, they think it's separate from the body, it's separate from the brain. And I think it started from a long time ago when it was Rene Descartes that said he was thinking that our brain is like a machine, but there is something above it, like we have a little soul or mind or spirit that is control the brain. So we need to work on that one. So that's one part.
Okay.
Then, and a lot of people based on this history still thinking the same thing. So they think there is something outside, or like the brain is like a black box, or mind is somewhere outside, and the things comes through. Then I wasn't getting the result yet, and I am changing from neurosurgery to being professional author and speaker in this area,
Uh-huh.
that I see how much important for people as, and this changing also has not been easy. I said, well, you know what? I am deciding to do something. Then I go back and I do the same things as before, day
Yeah.
after day. And I
Right.
know about the brain, and I know about the habits, and I know all the knowledge. That's what is happening. So, so then this is one part. So that's the mind. Then I came realize how where are these things. So when this is happening, why the change doesn't happen? And when I have a knowledge about neuroanatomy, physiology, I mean anatomy of the brain, structure of the brain, how the brain works, and how much complex it is. And and when I was in a medical school, or during the residency, I noticed that the brain has much more structure that it looks like are not necessary. Usually people, they use their brain like they, even as a neurosurgeon, you are working like a moving your arm, you are able
Right.
to walk, you are able to talk. And when you get a stroke and then a person cannot move arm and leg, then they think about their brain. Or just basically, just basically the simple things. But then I noticed later on, when I start realizing that all those extra structures are they are there because that's we become human being. That's we think.
Oh.
That because you're thinking, they say it in law attraction and new thought, the thinkings are things. Thoughts are things. And the
Right.
reason are things from my definition. Of course, there are different people, there are different definition. And when I'm talking about is my, does not mean I'm rule out other people's opinion. And over time, maybe my opinion changed too. I try to be open-minded, but this is my thinking.
Uh-huh.
All the things I'm saying is neuroscience part. So when I am talking to you right now, so my brain is talking to your brain. And
Right.
what's happening here in my head, some of my neurons connecting to each other, they are talking to each other, there are some chemicals, some activities up, and I will be able to talk. And if those things stop, I cannot talk anymore. So those are my brain works. When the brain function is like this, so the brain, I talked a couple of minutes about the structure of the brain. The brain has 100 billion neurons. Neurons are nerve cells. Neuron or nerve cells. There are other cells too, but these are nerve cells.
Okay.
And then each neuron can be connected to up to 1,000 other neurons. So
Wow.
you can have like more than 100 trillion connection in the brain. And the brain, the use of the brain is like this. So brain has a lot of capacity. Then you use it. When you use it, the brain improve. So some of the so the connection gets more if you use them. If you don't use them, we could be at just a level, we can use it at the level of animals, like some habits. You go become hungry, you eat, you talk, you do this, that. But if you wanted to use it, if we wanted to brain capacity, we use it, we have to think more, we have to solve the problem, we have to, and then that's will start coming. Then I noticed that the difference between me and other successful speaker is the difference in our brain that later on formed. The
Uh-huh.
basic structure of the brain in all the people are the same. But when we're using it, rewiring it, that become different.
I see.
So the human brain is so powerful. You know who sent the man to the moon?
Who sent the man to the moon?
Yes,
We did. Our
we did.
brain,
What? Which part of us?
our brains,
Our
because
brain.
we had
So
to
when you
think of it.
Yeah, so human brain send no, nobody thought it's possible. And if you look at it, it's
It's true.
very difficult mission in 1965, or internet, or computer, or I'm talking to you, or all these things was created by the brain. And even genius, when their mind, their brain becomes so powerful, is by using it for a long time. Even Einstein, when he came up with his theory, if you look at it, if you go to his personal life, it took years, about 20 years. He was thinking, imagining, working on
I
it.
get it.
Eventually, it became open. So, but we a lot of people, they use the brain at like a little superficial level. So
Yeah.
that's the brain have so much power. Is
So
that
you're saying that we've got to stretch our brain in order to grow it, in order to really achieve what we want to achieve, or else we're just
yes,
staying at this minute human level. We're not expanding our brain. And that's where kids today, using their games to think, is that helping the kids then? Because they're
it
expanding the brain?
Yes, some of the games and the good games, of course, we don't want to go through the controversial things. They are not very aggressive ones.
Right.
Of course, not spend too much time on it. It is good for them
Okay.
because it stimulates the brain. Is the more we are open, the more idea come to brain. Like the more you see the things happening. If you say if you travel or immigrant, they could be they could be more creative than a person live in one city, because after a little while you start
Ah,
using a certain number of your neurons, and
right.
you kind of stay in a box. It's like you don't see other things. It just become like that. And then when you wanted to see something else, and the brain is like this. The reason when you wanted to do something new and you feel uncomfortable, because of your brain, because your brain hasn't done it yet. When you do usual things, we use the same circuit. Like where you live?
In Southern California.
Southern California, where the place you drive, you don't need to think, you drive and go and back. Isn't true?
Exactly. You don't think
But if
while
you
you're driving.
come to Boston, have you been in Boston?
Yeah, I live there. Yeah. And you really have to think if you're driving.
Yeah, exactly. What the brain does is this. Brain one is whatever we do, learn it, and then use energy anymore. So when you wanted to learn something new, that's memorizing, that's math, is nobody
Yeah.
like it, because you have
Got
to
it.
think about it. It's uncomfortable. When that process, uncomfortableness goes away and you push through, then your mind will expand. When you say your mind will expand, it's really you start using, like you really have to make a new connection in the brain. And that's the part was missing in me for a long time. I was noticing. I wrote, was writing yesterday for my practice book, and I mean, you go to the different meeting, and you learn something, and consciously you say you are going to do it, and then come back home, and then you do the same things, and you repeat it
Yeah.
because it really has not become part of the brain. The brain is like your muscle. You cannot go to the gym one day you grow them, or one day they got it. It's like any part of the body. And the brain, and now I tell you one example of how become unlimited. So there are some of the neurons in the brain, we call it multifunctional. They don't
Okay.
do one thing, they do many things. If these neurons, they will be used up to 30% of capacity, they will become unlimited.
Ah.
So our brain is like Eric Kandel says, is like a computational, the complex computational system. And then when you start using it by some of the reason we still don't know, nobody knows exactly, it start becoming, they call it complexity theory. Somebody came up with this complexity theory in Canada. It start come up with ideas, ideas, all this arts, science, all these things was created or invention because when you use the brain for some time, then you start come up with ideas.
I see.
And then when you come up with that idea, then when you think about something for a long time, that's the thing. When you're thinking for something for a long time, even when you are sleeping, your brain working on those things. So if it's now
Wow.
what today, if it's positive things, it's looking at find the positive things. If you say there is no way, is find that there's no way. Is that make it a little more clear?
Yes. Yes. And so now with meditation, though, we slow down everything with thinking. But you're saying the exact opposite. If we are able to expand our mind, we're able to manifest more complex things in our lives. Is that correct?
Well, meditation is good for the brain. And
Okay.
the reason is, so the reason is when you're thinking about something, right now I'm talking to you, or when especially people, they are stressed, they are
Right.
focusing on one thing, and some special certain of the neurons working, and a person is looking through a small window and stuck there. When you meditate and relax and you don't think about anything, is let the brain calm down, you become relaxed.
Ah.
That's that. So after you did your meditation, then you start thinking about what else you want to do again. So sometimes when you are so focused on something, as a matter of fact, you may not see them. So the meditation is good, but when you wanted to, when you are working on something, when you are working on, if you wanted, they ask, I'm bringing this example. They asked Newton how to discover the gravity.
Right.
He said by thinking about it all the time. So when you're thinking why this thing's happening, and you don't let it go, eventually you get the response. Your brain, you will find it, you will study, you will research it, and your brain come up. It means, but a lot of people, what they do is say, well, this didn't work. Okay, well, I'm going to plan B or the other things. So
Right.
you know what I mean? That's both of them are work together. So
I see. So the meditation then is resting the mind to open up.
yes.
Okay. So we have to have that. We have to have the meditation, but we also have to go beyond our daily structure in order. We have to read new books. We have to watch more videos that are on the subject matter that we're pursuing.
Exactly. So brain is like what? Like this. So you heard it from many times that so as long as we are awake and we are not sleeping, there is one thoughts after another.
Okay.
William James call it stream of thoughts. They call it trains of thoughts. It means
Right.
one after another. You're talking to me, later on you think about like you are hungry if lunchtime, then your friend calls, then you think about your family, one after another. So that's a reason we have a lot of thoughts, between 30 to 60,000 thoughts, but a lot of them is like yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to come with a new things, or you pursue the things, you can't have so much distraction. If you wanted to create something big, or it has to be focused on one thing for a long time. That's burning desire or love. It's so important. Love by itself does not create the things, but if you love them and you focus on them and hard work on them, and then you eventually you break through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. But the key word for me is that you're expanding your mind. It's always been there, but you're developing it to reach for those things that you've always wanted. You
Yes,
can't do it if you're not opening up to new ideas or new ways of thinking.
Almost is like this. If you wanted, let's say you wanted to do something in G, you wanted to grow up your muscle. I'm not talking about if you expand your brain, but I would say when you say you really expand your mind, it means you're really making new connection in your brain.
Wow.
It's really as simple as this. Let's say you wanted to go to G. I don't know how often you go or somewhere. Let's say you want to go to grow out your muscle or some part of your body.
Yeah.
It is uncomfortable. You
Yeah.
have to go there. You have to do exercise over and over. But when you went through, then it become true. And then the other muscle, the other things I heard it from Tony Robbins. So he would say all the time that if you to 10 lift up, you know which one is the most useful one? Which one help your muscle grow? The 11th one. Because the odd brain is like this too. So if you use it a little, just here and there and what, it doesn't grow. So if you want it to grow, you have to push through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Then you make a new connection. Then your nerve make a new sprout, a new connection, and then you say, oh my God, and then you become more comfortable, and then you become hooked to it. After when you thought about it, this is come from Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill says, you know Napoleon Hill, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Napoleon Hill says you start saying your desired idea. For sometimes you need to repeat it to yourself that you wanted to live with it. After sometimes that idea take over. Because you thought about it so much in your brain, started thinking about it, you cannot not to think about it. And that's you go make through. And that was the problem. Was two things was for me I wasn't going through. One, I wouldn't give it enough time, and I make a decision and I wouldn't do it, and I would start blaming myself. And a lot of people, they blame themselves, there's somebody else, they think they're not smart. I don't know, different culture is happening or something. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was that's persistent. It's so important. Persistent in success is more important than even IQ or smartness, because that's you get through. So we're changing. You need to get your inside world needs to change and outside.
Okay, let me toss a scenario out. Say you really want to do something, like I've got a special event that I really want to do. And then I'm thinking, how am I going to afford to do this special event? So then I keep on thinking, how am I going to do it? And the fear takes over. I'm going, this is too big that I don't really want to do it because it's. So how do you reframe your thinking to get going? And how do you know it's the right decision?
Okay, so a lot of time, two things. First of all, the things you went through, I am going through myself. I need to make some more calls because it's a new field for me.
Right.
And I don't know how to. The things I know, I go do it easily. When I don't know it, then I postpone it, because one is that's really fear. Somebody said, Daniel Pena says, if you are fearless, you are limitless.
True.
And that's keep a lot of people down. Fear, I may not go through, fear what the people they says, what the culture says. Because when you wanted to do something, not only you need to convince yourself. When I wanted to do something, not only I have to convince my wife too, like my brother was this, all these things. So now to answer to your question is this: two things. That's a lot of time they say, think what you want, not how you get there. Because if you need to focus, first you need to say, I want to get there. No question about it. But if you have a plan B, if I don't get there, you don't. That's a reason. It needs to become must.
So you shouldn't have a plan B. You've got to keep your focus on that plan A.
As soon as you have a plan B, your plan, you will.
I'll be darned.
The person the person, if the brain does not work hard enough, it doesn't push
Ah,
you hard,
that
then
is an eye opener right there.
that's the basically when you so one thing is say what I want, and of course the why, and then why do you want it? That's important too, because when you why you want it, the reason there is so why is important, because for your own, it needs to be your own reason. If because you wanted to do it because of me, your mom, your sister, your brother, you may not doing it. The why needs to be so strong that you have to do it. So that's why it's important. What you wanted to do it, and how do it when you have not done something that in the past and you
Yeah.
wanted to do it and you don't know, it's going to be scary. It's going to be
Yes.
scary. And it's coming from Bill Gates, this one. He said sometimes you really don't know what's going to happen and you need to go through. You just have to get it done. And then you know, is not life and death, and if we didn't successful is okay, well, you started again. You need to think about it. But if we are so much concerned about it, that's a lot of time hold me back. Now I realize in most of these things to my own life, and I and I and I learn it, and I say, oh my God, the more I think about it, how much it can help people, how much people they can go through. Some people, they go through this process based on habit. They grow up, they were in a family, the family business, their parents are working hard, they work hard, and they are doing it is like a machine. When
Right.
I was going to do to the school and medical school, and it was for me easy because it was one after another. I got this one, I studied hard. I went to the medical school, and then I became first in Iran, and then I came to Toronto. Then I graduated. None of them was, it just was a physical work for me. But now when I wanted to do something new for myself, and the things I think I love to do, that's the scary part coming. Does it make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I know it does make sense because I feel I have those same things. Everybody who's listening has experienced that, but we don't know how do we push beyond that fear to get us where we need to be. But
Okay.
if we don't get through it, we aren't expanding our brain. So it's
If
like
we don't get through it, we bring some reason and we stay. A lot of people, that's it come from Bob Proctor is saying it over and over. A lot of people, they don't live in the home they wanted to live.
yeah,
They don't the place they wanted to go because they think after a little while they think it's not possible really. It's okay. Brain said it's okay. Now, one way is good things that I really understand. You come from Neville Goddard. Have you ever Neville Goddard?
oh yes, Neville, yeah, uh-huh.
Never. So I have his book beside me. Imagination is all the time beside me, and that's you imagine in your brain. Imagine Bob Wayne Dyer talk about it a lot, and he is saying wish fulfilled. So you need to in the brain act and think of the person you want to be. Like you think, as long as you think Joel, right? I'm pronouncing it properly.
Uh-huh.
Joel,
Neville?
if you think I want to do this, I am this right now, but I wanted to become that person. It's kind of you staying in here. You're still thinking of yourself. It's kind of difficult to explain it. Your brain need to think, act like a different person. You right now you need to say, I am successful. You close your eyes and imagining that you already put you said you want to put a seminar together, right?
Yeah, or
You
cruise,
close your
yeah.
eyes, you're imagining that you are acting, you are strong, you are telling people what to do, you are leading, you are everybody coming in, everybody it's as and then what will happen is after sometimes when you think in your brain, you know what your brain order you to behave that way. Did I does that make sense? I don't know. One day, let me explain to you this one. One day I was in front of Walmart here in New Hampshire. I live in New Hampshire. And I was thinking so hard that I am trying, it may be a little more complex, but I'm trying to change my brain with my own brain.
Oh.
So you really trying to do, you ask them with your own brain to do it with your own brain. Like with the conscious part of the brain, we're talking about consciousness. Change your unconsciousness of part of the brain. With your conscious, with your habit, with your awareness, that when your awareness goes up, your conscious goes up, and then your behavior will change, your structure change. So if you imagine it vividly it means with emotion. You sit there, you're without any limitation, you think, I am doing this, I am the best speaker, I am the best-selling author, I am whatever you want it to be. And then you repeat this one over and over and over and over. After some time, when your brain accept that you are that new Joel, you are going to be new Joel.
Oh, that is so fascinating. Now, it's not really about the metaphysical and the energy out there providing it to you. It's what your mind is then accepting so that you can come up with ways in order to accomplish your goal. So it's not really the energy of everything that's outside of us. It really is our brain. Is that what you're saying?
I am saying that.
Okay.
Now, there are some of the things outside they are talking about metaphysics and these things. I don't know, I don't have enough information about them, but for a lot of people, it's difficult to understand.
Right.
In the future, as over the time, I have changed, but I understood this one. When you're really saying, you heard this one over and over, as within, so without.
Right.
You heard that?
Yes.
Or as above, so below.
Right.
You know where is within or where is above? Is your brain.
Yeah.
There is nowhere else. I thought about these things hours, and it's so within. It's here. It's here.
Yeah.
It's so within. Where else could be? So when I so within. So when you think about law of attraction, I think it's because of your own thoughts. So you think about it. You want something so badly. You think about it over and over. When you think about it over and over, you cannot. Your brain will start taking action. Of course, everybody needs to take action. So it start taking and then bring it to you. So I don't think so God doing it or universe doing it is in depth. That's a lot of people, they wanted to leave it to God or leave it to universe. I don't think so they are going to do it. You have to imagine it, think about it, and go work hard, and you get it. Without working hard, you cannot get it. Now, the other things is, Joel, you're changing. You know what is the best way for the brain plasticity?
Well,
You know what is brain plasticity, right?
the movement and growing.
Yes, brain changing. Plasticity,
Changing.
you mean or they call it neuroplasticity or brain plasticity. The best factor in changing it is action.
Is action.
Yeah. So one of the ways imagining when you are at home. But in the morning, you take this piece of paper and you say, for reaching my goal here, I need to do this.
Right.
And then what you need to do next? You have to do them whatever even uncomfortable. When you do them initially uncomfortable, then later on you break through and it become comfortable.
So don't let the uncomfortableness stop you from growing, because you're just growing your brain, and it's going to be you're going to be able to see the other opportunities flow that you can latch onto. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see them. You'll be blind to them.
Yes, when they say you need to be in a, you have heard probably, I thought about this one for a long time, and then there's Bob Proctor say, oh, you have to be in a different vibration to see those.
Right.
Because when you are thinking small and low, you can't see the other things. I noticed it in a patient with depression or stress, when I talk to them, after sometimes I realize them. So I help the people, they become happy and bring their happiness back. They stuck in that mindset that, because I went through them myself too, I understand. Even you laugh or you smile, they feel bad because they say, why you are smiling? Why you're thinking positive thinking is going to work? Because for that brain, positive thinking, it will not work. And as long as in that belief and that things, it wouldn't work. Somehow you have to get it at that person, you have to put in an environment. So that's so friend is so important. So you have to put in an environment that the person breakthrough, and breakthrough is happening. You have, I'm going to write a book. Of course, title is changing. If you are become a new person, you have to have a new brain. And so it's really, truly is this. And it's kind of, it's the difference between us and then other animals is because we can think and we can expand it. But if we don't do it and we don't go through that hardship and and focus, we can get through. Too much distraction, you can get nowhere. You can get a revert, we can get average life. But if you wanted to in one area get exceeded or become, then you have to, we have to go through, we have to take off the limitation. That's the
Well,
limitation.
see, it seems like today there's so much limitation around us. I mean, right here, right now, we have politics, that we are more focused in on the politics than on our own self creating what it is we want, because it's a distraction. So are we not supposed to pay attention to, say, the politics, but are we just supposed to discount everything else in our lives or what's
Well,
happening on in the world? Or are we supposed to just stay focused on what we want?
yeah, what,
That's a
so
question.
yeah, yesterday I was writing about stress, and I have written about stress for a long time now. I noticed, I was telling people, so the peace of mind come from inside, and it's still coming from inside, and I believe it. But I notice sometimes my wife doing some things I don't like it, or the children doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
or writing about an article. I would tell the people about peace of mind. My daughter she's 11 years old. Do something, then I completely all upset because it's so. So now that's it. When you have politics, the place you are. So every person need to see where they are. We talk about peace of mind or goal to reach and thinking, but there for every person is a place. So that's coming, I can't remember who said this one. I'm saying Norman Vincent Peale or somebody says this. He said, do whatever you can wherever you are. So now you need to say, okay, so you are Jawal, you are in South California, and you have this building, and you have that much money, and your dad was like this, and your mom was like this, and your children like this, and you're living in America, and the government is like this. So then you really have to see like this. Okay, so what are the most important things for me here?
Ah,
Then, based on that one, decide. If you wanted to become distracted because this politician said this, that one said, there were fire in California. Or so
oh, yeah.
I will tell you something, okay? This distraction, this stressful problem, these challenges, they are going to be there all the time. Your car is going to break down. Your health will some issues. Your children are not going to behave nicely sometimes. Your brother is, your sister, your mom, your dad. Isn't it true?
True.
The place you are living, you will not, now you need to say, okay, what is really make me happy? What I want, then you say, okay, so this, like for me, for example, for me, being successful as a speaker and author and give people and financially be good, financially be free, my family are very important. Each of and my health and happiness. So each of them are missing. then it's going to be, I'm not going to be as happy as should be for a long term. Then you say, okay, well, your goal is now for me, I need, now I know for me, I'm going to give you an example. For me now, my focus is, except I need to look after family and these things. All my focus is on promoting my speaking business. That
Right.
I am going to do. Now, all other, of course, to be careful, etc., but all other things, what the other people did, because you know what it is? At the long term, the person needs to become change. I need to change. Is I need to change. Maybe the things around him limit some and these things, but eventually, Joel, all your health or your finances or your peace of mind or happiness is your own responsibility. Nobody else will do it. If you are
That's right.
dependent on any of them to somebody else, you will be disappointed in them. You
So,
can't.
do you recommend then that we write out our plan and put our family in there and what we want, and put our finances in what we want, put our career in what we want? We actually make a diagram in order for us to stay focused on that?
Yes. And the other suggestion I have is this. So yes, you want to write it, but if there are so many things in writing,
Yeah.
you need to kind of become uh, what the word? It has to have a. If there are too many things you want to do it, then it become distraction. You need to
Yeah.
find for my home, I need to do this one. Just take care of it. Sundays, I need to spend time with my children. Be sure the money is going there, here. The rest of it on whatever the most important is.
I see. I
Because
see.
if it become distraction, I have gone through this thing. I love my children, and when you yeah, like a Middle East person and Iranian, they are so involved with their family. So they want it all the time with family. What are the children and these things? But I noticed at one point it's becoming too much distraction, like from my goals that eventually is going to be good for them too. So if you are fine, and that's the, and, you wanted to write them, but I would suggest that I think if there are too many writing, that's going to be. And then the other things, one mistake I did, I have so many journals. What I did is I wrote them and I go put them aside. That,
Ah,
that's not a good idea. If you just write them as long as you are writing and happy and then go put them aside somewhere, it will not work. I
yeah.
tell you without my experience. You have to write them somewhere. Nightingale, it says write them in a card, a little card, what is your goal is today, and put it in your pocket. For a long time, I was thinking, why you weren't said to leave it in a pocket? Because every time you touch it, you remember what your goal is really.
Oh, that's a
Because
great
during the
idea.
day you become distracted, the brain become distracted. You start talking to your friend on a lunch 2 hours instead of, I'm sorry, I'm not saying you.
Yeah.
You start talking and then that one and then this one and then later on you figure out, oh my God, my goal wasn't this thing. So it has to be written and it has to be done. Sam Walton, the Walmart, you know who is Sam Walton?
Oh, yeah. The owner of
Sam
Walmart.
Walton that I'm recently learned it and I'm going to try to do it, has a law. They call it sundown law. Have you ever heard this?
Yeah.
Sundown rule. That his things was everybody in the company by end of the day, they have to clear their table of what they need to do. It's becoming 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, whatever it is. I am guilty of that one. I didn't do it because I was writing all the time my goals here and here. Then I would end up to do them once, so it wouldn't go. I would be the same place I was, and then after a little while, it become a habit.
Ah,
Postponing is a habit. Is nothing else. You get a habit of postponing, and then you do it again, and you feel bad, and you say, "I'm not going." So I think we should write it. Be sure you put it somewhere we see it and remember it and check it, be sure we are going through. And then when we went through with action, then uh,
yeah.
if every day is, somebody says that, I think it was uh, one of the authors says, if every day is successful, your life is successful. If every day is a failure, the life is going to be a failure. So it's
So, our basic premise then every morning is, how am I going to expand my mind? How am I going to expand my brain power? And what am I going to focus on so that I can do that? And by that is making the law of attraction. It is the law. It's got to come forward. It has no choice. And it's not metaphysical. It's because your brain is opening up to see these opportunities that you couldn't see before.
absolutely, you have to push through. Have to push through, even uncomfortable. It is going to be uncomfortable. It is going to be uncomfortable. A lot of people, they stop not because it's physically it's difficult, really, because they lose their, and when they lose their passion, and then when there is no passion, there is no energy. And then when you don't have energy, you don't go through, and then we stuck. And then when we stuck, and then we start reason why we didn't do it. And when you're doing it more, then that's the reason they say, have you ever heard they say success brings success?
Yeah.
Because when you're becoming successful, then you say, oh, I could do it. Then you do another. The inventor, they do invent more. Yesterday I was reading about Elon Musk. You know Elon Musk?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Elon Musk. Uh-huh.
Elon. And I was saying, my goodness, he he did that company, and then he did another company. Then a few years he did another company. Then he did another company. He's thinking another company, because I think I was saying, how did he do that? But I think he becomes like the first one he did. He said, "Oh, can make a company," and then I go to do that one, and then did. But a lot of people, they feel like they will not be able to do it, and as soon as they said, "I can't do it," or they feel like, "Oh, you don't need to say it loud. You may say it loud. Oh, I'm successful," but if inside you say, "I don't think so. I can do it," then it doesn't go through. It has to become must.
My goodness, there was a reason why you were on my show, because you've answered so many of my questions for this event that I'm trying to do. So it's like, okay, you've got to expand. If I said no to this event, then I would be stopping my brain power.
You shouldn't. If you start, you don't do more anywhere. Every time I start not called, I didn't call more. I didn't do it anymore. So when you're doing it, you see some people, they program for success,
Right.
and they program and they go through, even they don't know how they did it.
Right.
Because like a neurosurgery, for years I did what like a neurosurgery. If you say neurosurgeon, it's difficult, isn't it true? But
Yeah.
I went to the school, no big deal at all, because I was just one after another. But now when I wanted to start this one, your show, you have to go through it. If you don't go through it, do whatever is happening. Do it. By the way, you don't need speaker in your.
Yeah, I do. I'll be contacting you. This was really, really great information. And you kind of separated the metaphysical, and we've got to more focus in on our here and now, our brain. Let our brain expand so
Yes.
that we can grow, so that we can achieve. Matter of fact, that is the only way we can achieve our success.
Yes.
It's
And
by
for
realizing it's from our brain.
And for a lot of people, that's the reason I'm trying to teach people. A lot of people do, of course, like going intention, spirit, energy, and all these things working, all of them eventually working through the brain. But I thought this about when you tell the people it's your brain and you need to do this one, it gives them a little practical things. You know
Sure
what?
does.
You need to go to do this. You don't need to go to read another 100 books. The more I learned some of the things of reading, but the more I understood it, when I thought about the things I know myself, I thought of why it didn't work, why I haven't called for 6 months, that a call I need to do 6 months ago. I just was thinking myself, my God, I think about a brain and I know all this knowledge I have. This is, I notice, is my habit. And then the only other way, if today after I finish doing it, I remember, you know Tony Robbins, right?
Oh, yes.
Tony Robbins, when we were going to the meeting many years ago, we were, by the way, we were living in California. Now we are in New Hampshire. We were living in Bakersfield.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I was going to his meeting at that time, and he was saying when you decide of something, you need to take one action at least right away. At that time, I was thinking, one, it's not a big deal. I'm right there, and then go home and take action. Now I know why, because by that time I went home, all those like a working memory or my conscious, they would go away, go be distracted, and all those energy goes away. But when you take action, it's you take action, you get a little momentum.
Yeah.
When you have your momentum, then let your momentum goes, and you need to bring somehow, some way, bring that momentum back with the picture around you, with the music, with everything you know is, and then that's I and now when I'm looking at all these things, working through the brain, and everybody has a brain. You know, everybody, unless the people, they have a brain injury or they have some
Right.
genetic problem, but otherwise everybody is smart enough to do whatever they wanted to do. I know this 100% sure.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is really brilliant. Thank you so much for bringing all of this information to us. You've got to come back on the show. You got to write another article for the magazine. And I'm glad we got this opportunity to meet, because you just solidified a number of things to all of the listeners, that we really do need to stop and focus on learning and the brain. That's
Yes.
where we've got to be able to recognize the opportunities.
Once we need to have a show, and I tell people how to keep the brain healthy. That's very, very important. So the brain, you use it, now you need to keep it healthy.
Yeah, that's
How
a
you
good
keep it
idea.
healthy. These are so many different things we need to do, that we keep that here, like you keep your heart healthy, you need to keep the brain healthy, and then how to think. Like a positive thinking is good for brain health. I mean, it's kind of, then we can go through what a lot of people, they don't know what the positive thinking means really. And they
Yes.
make a mistake. What is a positive thinking means? Why be happier is better. Why should be peaceful is better. Why we live longer if you're you think you wanted to live longer. As why hope is so important. Yeah, and then why your brain, and I think that's a, I love to talk to you. So it looks like you wanted to understand some of the things yourself, and then that works.
Absolutely. That's
You're a
why
good, really good interviewer, by the way.
oh, thank you. But that's why I started Law of Attraction Talk Radio, because I couldn't get the answer. So I thought, well, I'm going to talk to the key people here. And you've just brought me in some more of my answers. And I've been doing this for 13 years. So you are really outstanding. And I could tell you, you're going to go a long ways as a speaker, really, because people need to know you're helping us to become better manifestors of our lives.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And we are all out of time, but I just can't thank you enough for coming on. We're going to know you a little bit better, a lot. So we'll bring you back onto the show. All right?
So much. It was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another great show from Law of Attraction Talk Radio. If you'd like to comment on tonight's show, send an email to jules@loaradionetwork.com, and have a great week.